News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust, serving Micronesia since 1938. Matson and the Adahi Itano program. Cars Plus, drive home in a brand new 2021 Hyundai Palisade equipped with Guam's only lifetime powertrain limited warranty. Call 477-7807 or visit carsplusguam.com. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it, and King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Straight ahead, the latest from the crime scene in Agat after a man was shot. And the latest on efforts to reopen bars which have remained shut down for almost 1 year. And the island's faithful head to church for a much different Ash Wednesday commemoration.
Hafide, good evening. I'm Adriana Cotero. Investigations into last night's Agat shooting are ongoing as the Guam Police Department has yet to release any information. KUAM was first on the scene yesterday evening following a report of a male in his 30s with multiple gunshot wounds to his abdomen. Guam Police Department's Criminal Investigation Division was activated. Detectives were seen outside a residence along San Francisco Street in Agat. GPD Chief Stephen Ignacio was unable to provide any additional information, but says the victim was transported for medical treatment and care. The victim has yet to be identified and his current medical state is unknown. As of news time, no arrests have been reported. In Superior Court, Katner Harry was appointed a new defense counsel attorney, Douglas Moylan. Harry is accused of raping and killing Luciana Pauley. She was found dead and towed to by neighborhood children in January of last year. According to our files, prior defense counsel Terrence Timblin filed a motion to waive Harry's speedy trial rights and told the court he was accepting a plea offer. However, this may no longer be the case because attorney Timblin withdrew from the case. Newly appointed attorney Moylan is currently reviewing the defendant's files and told the court he needs to meet with Harry because there may be a conflict for representation. Judge Anita Sokola set a continued status hearing for March 3rd. Nothing tranquil about what happened at a massage establishment in Harmon. 19-year-old Peter Nixos Robert was arrested for robbing Tranquil Therapeutic Massage. The incident occurred on January 7th. Robert is accused of walking into the massage parlor with a firearm and assaulting an employee. He then fled with the victim's personal belongings. Detectives from the Criminal Investigation Division followed up on the case. They executed a search warrant at a home in Harmon on Wednesday. That's where they picked up Robert. He was busted on a slew of charges to include robbery, aggravated assault, felonious restraint, and reckless conduct. Police Chief Stephen Ignacio says the war on ICE started in the 90s, and it's been a war ever since. Guam has yet to beat this battle, and with the uptick in homicide and violent crimes, drugs seem to be the root of the problem.
But you can't stop fighting the war, because if you stop fighting the war, then that means you've given up, and then they take over. And so you just have to keep fighting back as a community. We're making arrests almost weekly, if not daily, on drug possession, and sometimes some of the drug possession cases also involve substantial amounts or amounts of also ICE that we're confiscating and money, current US currency. So we never stop fighting the war. We're still fighting the war. We're going to continue fighting the war. We can never give up.
9 out of 10 grand jury indictments were issued this afternoon from the Office of the Attorney General, charging separate individuals for possession of a Schedule II controlled substance as a third-degree felony. Senators continued their debate today on a bill that would require the governor to get legislative approval in order to extend a public health emergency beyond the first month. Nestor Lecanto has more.
Deliberation on the bill was cut short yesterday after Senator Tello Taitigui asked for more time to review a last-minute letter signed by various frontline agency heads who wrote that Senator Chris Dueñas's bill threatens their ability to respond to the COVID-19 emergency. When session reconvened today, Taitigui was not convinced.
These are so many questions that we have senators, not only us, but our constituents, the community is asking for. We need to be a part of this. That's what this legislation does.
But Senator Clint Rigel argued that if it's checks and balances the bill seeks, it's already in place.
The governor has the executive authority to issue a public health emergency declaration, and the legislature has a separate power and authority to terminate that at any time by a majority vote. So I don't see the necessity for this bill at all.
Majority Leader Talina Nelson offered a compromise amendment. The initial emergency declaration would be in effect for 90 days, and then the governor would have to seek Senate approval for any 30-day extension. Nelson, an officer in the National Guard, used a military analogy to explain.
It usually takes about 3 months to get a battle rhythm to control this kind of emergency.
Her amendment passed with the support of bill sponsor Duenas.
So I think this is a very well thought out and very meaningful amendment, and I agree with it.
The bill was moved to the third reading file for a later vote. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
In one of the final steps toward the reopening of bars, Public Health and Hotel and Restaurant Association completed a review of the updated guidelines. GHRA President Mary Rhodes said they pored over it line by line today, just to make sure they addressed all the concerns and possible scenarios. Here's Nestor Lecanto.
Now that we're expected to go into PCOR 3, a lot has been learned, and we can certainly put in more best practices and new things that are in effect with all of the guidance memos that have taken place. There are so many that we've seen over the last couple of months, and so it just makes sense to update the existing guidelines since the last revision date was May 2020. I think the most important thing is that the recommendations really mirror what CDC has for restaurants, bars, and taverns.
She confirms that the governor is expected to make an announcement on Friday, and the effective date for the bar's reopening would then be on Monday.
But of course, it's really up to the governor. Everything that we reviewed today will go to legal for review, because even though GHRA made these recommendations and worked with public health on the draft form, it still has to pass muster with the legal department.
Rhodes says she shared the updated guidelines with many bar owners and has been working with the fire department on walkthroughs at bars to review their occupancies in preparation for reopening. Interested bar owners can reach her by email at president@ghra.org. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
We have an update on stimulus checks, plus a progress report from the Guam Department of Education. That and more on the way when Guam's News Leader returns.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
While we've all been through a lot over the years,
typhoons, earthquakes, and now COVID-19,
we've been able to get through these together.
For more than 80 years,
Calvo's Insurance has been protecting your homes, your businesses,
and the health of your family.
We are here today and we'll be here tomorrow.
There are better days ahead. Tomorrow's a new day filled with hope and choices.
The possibilities of what we can achieve together are limitless.
Let's continue to work together to ensure a brighter tomorrow for all of us.
How do you dare? You chip away at what's been built because you can do better. How do you dare? You chase away wrongs to make room for what's right. You. How do you dare? You stand while they sit and scream when they are silent. You combine your strengths to reject their weakness. You step up, stand out, and shape a new point of view. How do you dare? This is how you dare. Introducing the all-new Elantra.
KUAM News, winner of the 2020 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Social Media.
Welcome back. An update on stimulus checks. The Department of Revenue and Taxation has been taking the axe to the grindstone when it comes to sending out EIP2 payments. As DRT Director Daphne Shimizu says, a majority of the payments have been processed. DRT has until March 19, 2021 to process all EIP2 payments. As a reminder, you can go to myguamtax.com and input your information in the EIP2 lookup portal to find out the status of your stimulus check. The Guam Department of Education is preparing for P-Core 3 and the possible addition of more students to return to campus. Tyler Matson has the latest progress report.
There are currently 14,000 available spots for face-to-face instruction, but GDOE says there are only 7,800 students currently enrolled. Yet there's a waiting list of 250 students. GDOE Superintendent John Fernandez.
The reason why students might be on wait list is because at that grade level, they might be full versus, having space in other grade levels.
Although the current waiting list doesn't indicate an overwhelming demand for students to return, Fernandez hopes GDOE staff and families will be encouraged as employees begin their second round of COVID-19 vaccinations.
There's nothing that I don't think we will be able to do immediately with regard to our operations just because we're going to P-Core 3. Because under P-Core 3, I still believe we're going to have to continue to keep the safety parameters in place at school.
While GDOE prepares for more students to return to campus, they're also working to ensure students who have opted for their other learning models have the resources they need.
On February 22nd, we will get the bids from vendors for the internet, the home internet services, and we're going to hope to be able to push those services out, shortly thereafter. And so as we start to get internet access support at home, we definitely have laptops that are available to provide the students. We are going to make a hard push for students to get online if they're not comfortable going face-to-face.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Tyler Matson.
Thank you, Tyler. As for an update on the Guam Education Board's meeting last night, they voted to create what's called the Policy Review and Strategic Planning Committee. According to GEB Chairperson Mark Mingiola, they will be tasked with overseeing the review of strategic plans for GDOE.
This is what's going to help guide the Department of Education in terms of its next couple of years. It's going to be a document that's going to be able to work towards continuous improvement within the Department of Education.
The board also gave an update on the current budget. Mingiola says it's going to be a difficult time for DOE because as they've submitted their FY 2020 budget, they also have to contend with revenue shortfalls.
We have not received certain fundings from special funds that usually helps us meet our financial obligations, and so that's one of the toughest challenges. But we received a letter from Oversight Chair Talina Nelson on Education. Committee Chair on Education, and she's asking to meet with the Board of Education and the superintendent to answer to some questions about, how the department is going to manage some of our federal resources coming in.
The department is requesting a local budget of $373 million for FY22. They're scheduled to appear before Senator Talina Nelson's Education Committee next week for an informational briefing. Throughout the pandemic, we've seen various agencies work hand in hand to help in community testing, food distribution, and vaccine efforts, among other things. And with the fight against COVID acting as a call to action, there's been hundreds of people outside local or federal government agencies answering the call to do their part to bring our island out of the pandemic.
Earlier this week, KUAM reported on how Dr. Margaret Hattori Uchima, Dean of UOG School of Nursing, turns her personal time into volunteer time at the vaccination clinic at the Calvo Fieldhouse. And it looks like helping the community runs in the family. UOG psychology student Mariana Uchima.
My mom is one of the regular volunteers here, so she's one of the ones that are pulling the vaccines. And she asked me if I wanted to help volunteer, and I was like, oh, sure. I thought it would be a really good opportunity for me.
While the island has done its part at stopping the spread of the virus and working to help keep the numbers of active cases low, being on the front lines face-to-face understandably makes some folks a little bit worried. But Mariana says she's been enjoying the experience so far.
Even though it might be dangerous, we're protected. We're wearing N95s and face shields, and we're making sure that everyone's 6 feet apart. And so, I wanted to volunteer because I felt like if I didn't then someone else who might be more worried would be forced to come and volunteer. And so if I could come and, take their place, and I'm having a lot of fun.
And Mariana says with a working environment like this, she thinks it could be a great opportunity for those who want to lend a hand.
It's really upbeat and positive, and I'll get lots of comments from people who come and they'll say, oh, it's so organized, you guys are so cheerful, and it's a fun environment to work in and to volunteer. I'll ask some of my friends to come volunteer, and they'll come and they'll have a really good time, and so they'll want to come again.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Peter Santos.
Public Health will be hosting free COVID-19 testing at the Jontya Gym on Thursday. No symptoms are required, and you will know the results in about 15 minutes. The free testing will be from 9 a.m. to noon. Please keep in mind this is only for testing. No vaccinations will be administered. Additionally, on Monday, Public Health's Rapid Engagement Team conducted testing at the Hemilani Apartments, Maritzu. 25 people were tested. All returned negative. Dr. Thomas Shea may not be an island, but pro-life advocates rallied in front of his Tamuning clinic this morning to praise the medical professionals' efforts in standing against abortion. From 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., a handful of people held up signs showing appreciation for Dr. Shea and voicing their opinions on the controversial matter. Dr. Shea has expressed his loyal support of life, and it was most recently seen on a social media post, which was highlighted during today's rally. Member of Catholic Pro-Life Committee, Michelle Armenta.
We're just out here just showing our support for Dr. Shea. He's, if you take a look at our board over here, you can see how he posted on Facebook saying that if you are considering abortion, there is the option for adoption, and he will take care of the prenatal care and delivery at no charge. And he's out here to protect the children and the babies who are unwanted, because there are plenty of people here on the island who do want babies.
Additionally, the group noted Dr. Shea's personal services he provides for babies born or unborn, mothers at risk, and his support for laws contrary to life. As we've reported, Guam's law on abortion is currently being challenged by the ACLU, who filed the lawsuit in the district court on behalf of 2 Hawaii-based OBGYNs. More news after the break. Stay tuned.
Your community calendar is brought to you by Taco Bell. Whether it's your first meal or your fourth meal, we've got you covered. Taco Bell, live Más.
So long, nacho fries.
Whenever Taco Bell takes them off the menu, he can't escape the cravings.
Nacho fries. Escape your cravings with our nacho fries box. Run to Taco Bell.
It makes myself and it makes my team members very proud to work for an organization that has been on island for many years, with its focus on reliability, dependability, and commitment to the communities that they operate in.
Matson's a great corporate citizen to the community.
We all benefit from any sort of environmental commitment we make. One of the ways that we do that is with our Adahi Utano program. There's action behind it, and so action breeds commitment.
With the Kaimana Hila coming to Guam, this brings a new age and modernization to the island.
It's exciting for me because it's a brand new ship and we can carry more freight into the islands. It just shows growth for Guam and Micronesia.
Matson would be nothing without its customers, and we hope to continue to serve you for decades to come.
For the different beats of your life, we're here to keep you connected the way you want it. Plans made for you, by you. Build your own bundle with Link. Select the internet, entertainment, mobile, and home phone plans that fit your lifestyle. Pay for what you want, not for what you don't. Build your own bundle and save with Link.
Guam is truly a majestic place with its sheer natural beauty, wealth of beaches, and culturally rich landscape. Unfortunately, Guam has a real problem with unwanted invasive species. Help us in preventing their introduction and spread. The coconut rhinoceros beetle, the little fire ant, the African snail, Siam weed. These are just a few of the numerous invasives on Guam. Follow proper custom procedures when bringing plants and animals into Guam.
Help protect Guam. Tell your family and friends about invasive species.
To report invasive species, call 475-PEST.
Prutehi Liteksin, Save Ritidian, and numerous other community organizations held a peaceful protest recently after the Department of Defense denied them the opportunity for a public hearing to further discuss concerns related to the surface danger zone for the U.S. Marine Live Fire Training Range Complex at Northwest Field. Here's more with Tyler Matson.
I offer myself to protect and to defend the beliefs, the culture, the language, the air, the water, and the land of the Chamorro, are lines translated from the Guam Pledge. The rain didn't stop peaceful protesters from raising their voices about the denial of participation in public hearings and forums to discuss the surface danger zone over Ritidian. Recently, Prutehi Liteksin, Save Ritidian, and numerous other community organizations called upon island residents to join them in protest at Adaloop and at the ITC intersection. Fifth-generation Liteksin owner and member of the group, Maria Hernandez.
We also are advocating for our freshwater aquifer. This firing range is being built above the Northern Lens Aquifer, which provides about 80 to 90% of our island's drinking water. So we are, that's scary. It's really scary that our main water source is being compromised. We have, in past public hearings, spoken to officials who kind of handle the aquifer in regards to the buildup, and they couldn't even answer some questions that our community was asking.
The protest was in response to the Department of Defense's decision to not hold a public hearing for the upcoming Marine Firing Range Surface Danger Zone at Northwest Field, which would also impact Ritidian and the surrounding areas. According to Hernandez, DoD denied Prutehi Liteksin's request for another public hearing because they said they already have enough information on the matter. But Hernandez says that if the top experts that are supposed to have knowledge don't even know the potential dangers that the firing range will pose, how can we trust that our aquifer will be safe?
We're here today to stand for our land, for our water, our Northern Lens Aquifer. This firing range is being built above our main water source, which it provides 80 to 90% of our drinking water on Guam. So we should all be very concerned about this for the potential contamination to our aquifer.
Prutehi Liteksin so far has received 24,000 signatures on their petition page. 2 resolutions have been passed calling for a pause on the construction of the range, which would extend over Ritidian and almost 3 miles into the ocean. For more information, you can visit their Facebook page at Prutehi Liteksin, Save Ritidian. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Tyler Matson.
Acting State Historic Preservation Officer Carlotta Leon Guerrero says when it comes to the programmatic agreement, Gov Guam took a D+ and turned it into a B in response to criticism from Senator Talina Nelson and local activist groups that the PA process did not allow for enough public input. Nelson had asked the Attorney General for an opinion on whether or not the PA signed by the governor was valid. And although the senator's office hasn't officially received a response, Leon Guerrero said she's already seen one since she is represented by the AG's office.
My attorney from the SHPO's office is Jessica Toft at the Attorney General's office. And so before she could respond to the senator, since I'm her client, we had a discussion about what that letter says, what she's saying, what she's responding to the senator. And so Senator Nelson will get the response probably today. The senator was asking if what role the Attorney General's office had in this. In the drafting of the programmatic agreement. And then one of the responses is that they've been involved from the outset.
Leon Guerrero says nothing is stopping Senator Nelson or any senator from holding oversight or informational hearings weekly. According to the acting SHPO, public input led to 6 amendments to the PA.
The deal that we got with the PA is a work in progress. And if something comes up and something changes and new information, or that we can go back to it and we can amend it. Once you're confident that you can go back and amend, then I'm okay to move it along in the process.
Meanwhile, Pritehi Texan tells KUAM they will send a letter expressing their concerns about the lack of public input in the PA process to add a loop. For the Catholic faithful, today marks the start of the Lenten season, and it was a much different Ash Wednesday than in years past. Here's more on the season of fasting and becoming closer to God.
Whether it was via drive-through or physically attending Mass, Island Catholics made their way to church for one of the most important and popular days in the liturgical calendar. And for Father Paul Goffigan of Our Lady of Lourdes in Jigo, it was a bit different. Instead of the traditional crosses on the forehead on Ash Wednesday,
take it and we sprinkle it on the head.
Ash Wednesday starts the Lenten season of fasting and prayer. Father Paul reminds people it's not about yourself, but being selfless.
When you're talking about giving up, that's probably you're talking about abstaining or having some kind of small sacrifice that you do during Lent, and it's supposed to draw you closer to a relationship with God. If it draws you closer to a relationship with yourself, then that defeats the whole purpose of sacrificing.
So giving up rice to be healthy isn't exactly a way for one to get closer to God, according to Father Paul. He recommends instead using your time, talent, and treasure to help others less fortunate.
There are a lot of places that help the poor. Call Catholic Social Service, call Salvation Army. Call people, the places that help the poor.
As for the answer to the question many have asked.
Yeah, chicken's meat.
Thank
Sorry.
you. Mic drop, guys.
Thank you, Father.
Well, you just put a damper on a lot of people's Lent, Father.
All joking aside,
I suggest that people, reflect during the season of Lent, reflect on last year, on what happened during their fasting, and how did it affect their relationship with God, and how did it affect the relationship with their brothers and sisters. And I hope that they can do some journaling so that they can see the progress, especially in their spiritual life.
We've got birthday shout-outs right around the corner. Keep it here.
Try double filet sandwich for double the flavor. Just in time for Lent for a limited time. Served all day.
We get it. Living to the fullest is tough during COVID-19. You don't need to do it alone, and everyone needs a hand right now. We are here. Feeling overwhelmed? Call 647-8833 and let's talk. Mangagihem is a project of KUAM Behavioral Health and Wellness Center.
MTO Maintenance will now completely sanitize your home, office, or business with state-of-the-art commercial sprayers. For over 30 years, MTO Maintenance has been committed to the health and safety of our customers. And now, more than ever, a clean home, office, carpets, and furniture is a necessity to our island. Give us a call today. Stay healthy and stay safe, Guam.
Call 647-6861 for an appointment.
And before we close out the news tonight, our latest round of birthday shout-outs from the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club.
Happy everybody on this Ash Wednesday, the beginning of the Lenten season. We want to say a very special happy birthday to Jamie D.S. Paulino Jr. Happy birthday to Jamie from your entire family. That includes everyone on Guam, all your neighbors, all your friends, and all your family. And Nikolai Franklin Kawamoto. Happy birthday #1 to Nikolai. Love Mommy, your sisters, Auntie Jazz, and your entire family. We wish the both of you, Jamie and Nikolai, the very best birthday, a wonderful Lenten season, and best wishes from all of us at Cold Stone Creamery and KUAM.
Remember, you can be part of the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club by registering online on KUAM.com. That's going to do it for us here on Prime Time. Thank you for watching. Have a good night and be safe.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Howdy, everyone. Nestor Lecanto here once again for another edition of In Full Zoom. And this week, you're going to really love these topics. I'm kind of intrigued. And we've got Jason, who's I invited on because I know he's our resident tech guru, and he's very much interested in these topics as well. We're going to talk about driverless vehicles and drones. And here to talk about those subjects is Rod Boss. He is, of course, the president and CEO of Docomo Pacific. And Art Dolly, who is the president of Tech Center Guam and Aviation Concepts. He's going to be talking about the drones. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome, Jace.
Thanks. Thanks for having us.
Hi, everybody.
All right, Rod. So let me start with you. When you hear the words driverless vehicle, all kind of ideas pop into your mind. Tell us, first of all, what does that mean exactly? And how does a telecom company like Docomo Pacific get involved in something like that?
Thanks. We were pretty excited about this. As you know, it's been over a year, I guess year and a half now. We launched our 5G lab in our headquarters in Tamaning. We did that in conjunction with our parent company, with Docomo, which is the largest wireless provider in Japan. Docomo has relationships with a lot of different vendors, and they work on a lot of different solution business and products enabling these various products. And they had worked on this project with Sony in Japan. And so because we had our lab here and we were working on different concepts in the lab, they would ship this Sony cart over here, and we were planning to do some testing on that. Of course, COVID hit, and we kind of were waiting for a good opportunity to do that, but things have continued. So we ended up doing this last week, and we did this test really with the Sony cart from Japan. So actually, the cart was driving around our headquarters building in the parking lot, but it was controlled remotely from Japan using the 5G network. And so, it doesn't, we kept it at a pretty low speed, and when you're in it, it's got 4K monitors all the way around, and actually on the exterior as well. And so you can, it's just as if you're looking out a window, but it's actually a monitor you're looking at, and you see everything that's going on around you, but it's being remotely driven. So, it's just a concept that we're working on, that we've had some discussion on different applications, but we continue to try and develop applications for 5G.
All right. I know we've got some other questions for you, but first let me bring in Art to the conversation. Now, Art, tell us a bit about what your business does and why you're bringing this drone service to Guam.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Nestor, for the opportunity. I'm the president of Aviation Concepts, which has been a long-standing business aviation support facility here since 2001. We've been primarily providing support not only to the civilian commercial market, but to DoD contractors and military contractors involved in aviation activities. In response to the evolving technologies of our clients and also the commercial drone industry, we formed Tech Center Guam, which is a subsidiary of Aviation Concepts, in response to those needs. Guam is a fabulous location for R&D type activities on the commercial level. As Rod at Docomo Pacific and other companies, the advent and the availability of 5G technology now, which provides very minimal latency for some of the technologies that are getting tested out in the region, make it even more attractive here. We're located on the airport. We have interested clientele and longstanding clientele and relationships that find what we can provide in the location in Guam here as very, very attractive. So that was kind of the main reason we got into it. It started several years ago and really started picking up a lot of progress and steam until COVID hit. We still are moving forward rapidly, but we too have been affected by COVID, but see great things ahead for the coming years.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
All right, let me bring Jason in, because I know he's got a lot of questions for you folks. So fire away, Jason.
Oh boy, yeah. Where do I get started? So thank you, gentlemen, again for joining us. Like, it's a great pleasure to talk to fellow geeks about doing some really, really cool things, which obviously have a lot of implications for our island community. But I just wanted to kind of kick it to the both of you and everything, because Rod, I think you said very effectively, you're working on the applications for the 5G technology, and most people just think, okay, 5G, it's an upgrade of my phone. I'm going to be able to get Netflix faster. I'm going to download, ringtones, like at the speed of thought and everything like that. But 5G really has a lot of industrial and a lot of enterprise level applications. So what are you envisioning as far as doing that? And then maybe Art, if you can kind of jump in, how do you see drone technology being available and being applicable to not only the hobbyists here, but also maybe to local government, maybe with search and rescue operations, which has been done before, which is, volunteers just kind of coming in and saying, I've got the technology, I know how to fly, I'd like to help you out with finding a distressed swimmer, or, like a lost group of hikers, and just things like that. I'm just spitballing here, but what do you gentlemen see as far as how this technology can improve things here?
Great. If you don't mind, I'll jump in. So 5G for me, there's maybe a quick story at the beginning, which is that when we were thinking of 5G applications, just after we started the lab, we were working with a bunch of different island operators and independent companies. One was a company down in Tuman who does weddings, and they were looking at virtual reality weddings, meaning that you would be able to not actually have to fly to the wedding. You could put on a virtual headset and you would as if you were there. And this was pre-pandemic. And I said, I remember saying, yeah, that sounds fun, but it's kind of a stretch, I don't think people are going to know. Look how relevant that is now, doing something like that. So a lot of this stuff is, the applications that we're going to be using this technology for are, still being developed by entrepreneurs, by people who need it in the future. But our relationship with Docomo in Japan, the fact that we have this parent who almost looks at Guam, because we're so close, they look at this as a test bed. They can try new things. We can get access to things like this Sony card, and we can do this kind of development here. And we're developing these things as we go. So somebody asked me a little while ago. They said, well, yeah, you've got some sites now in Tuman, here in Tamuning, and in Aganya. I think we have a site out by UOG where we've been testing out there. But they're like, when am I going to get this in Jigo or Santa Rita? And I said, well, I'm not making any promises, because the market is going to drive that. And as people have those demands and they say, if somebody said, like aviation services, oh, in this area, we really need a better coverage because we've got all these applications, we're going to use this service, boom, we're there, because we already have it now on the island. And realistically, there's probably nowhere in the world an island, a place with this population that already has 5G. But we have 5G now because of that association, and we're able to get that technology and bring it to Guam first.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Rod, you were saying like initially when you began your 5G rollout of the network, you said like there were some interested entities, if not already testers of like telemedicine applications, right? That were doing like high resolution medical imaging, being able to send it over, without the delay, without the lag, without the loss in quality, for the benefit of the patient.
That was one of the things, of course, is a big issue for Guam all the way around. I haven't seen much development on that, only because, really the fastest is 5G, right? I mean, not 5G for mobile, but the fastest is fiber. So if you've got a fiber connection to a fixed location, that's going to be better than any mobile service you're going to have anyway. Mm-hmm. So it seems like on the telemedicine side, except when it becomes remote. So if it's anytime you need to be moving around, then actually, yeah, you're going to need that 5G. So the development of that, the latency and the fast speeds in a, out in a factory, you got vehicles moving around in manufacturing. For us, one of the things that, I'm most excited about is fiber replacement. Meaning that instead of bringing the fiber into your house or into your neighborhood, I just bring it to my cell site in front of your neighborhood. I can shoot a 5G signal, high speed fiber like speeds to your house. You catch it, put it inside your house, and suddenly you have that access.
No physical media that could possibly break or get severed by an inadvertent construction crew or anything like that. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Okay. Art, would you agree as far as deploying aerial technology on here? And again, what are some of the applications that you see?
Well, very similar to what Rod's discussing with the carts. One of the things that again is very attractive about Guam, and we're in the process of developing a drone port at the northeast side of the island. One of the exciting developments is the fact that we do have 5G capability now, and the people that are looking at Guam as a potential location and test bed for some of the new emerging technologies becomes even greater and greater. One of the things, or one of the real attractions too, is that on the east side of the Guam Island are literally thousands of square miles of what we call uncontrolled airspace, or airspace that is available for what we call beyond visual line of sight operations. And it's very, very difficult for companies that are based on the mainland U.S., even those along the Pacific Rim, to find and get permissions for use of these airspaces. Guam is a natural. We've had, over the past couple of years, several companies reach out to us, in addition to our existing clients, about conducting those type of operations off the east side of the island. None of it's possible without availability of 5G. These are operations that need to have near almost zero latency, or such minimal latencies that the data communications is almost instantaneous. It doesn't work on the R&D side unless that's available. So that's what's become very, very exciting. Not too long ago, a couple of years ago, the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration classified drones as aircraft operating in the national airspace system that extends all the way from the mainland U.S. well out into the Pacific and past Guam. These are airspaces that are regulated, and that, depending on the type of activities that are being conducted, either have to have very special permissions, authorizations from the Federal Aviation Administration, and again, that's what makes this location so excellent. Those availabilities are here. So,
Art, let me ask you, can you give us some examples of some practical applications for drones? What could you use it for? What could businesses use it for?
Almost a loaded question, Nestor. I mean, in almost everyday applications, these technologies are emerging so quickly. Everything from package delivery operations, as many of your listeners probably already know, companies like UPS, Amazon, and those are already conducting package delivery operations in limited type areas. Those will ultimately expand to a much greater area and ultimately out to Guam. There's a local company already involved here in the preliminary work to get certifications for that. Again, those will be operations that are overseen by the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration. When you talk about the applications that are available and where they're being conducted, first and foremost, the FAA wants to see that safety and oversight of the operations. This is the primary objective, but they've been very, very supportive about getting any and all reasonable applications going and making those resources available. You're talking, spraying of agriculture. That's a huge agricultural fields. It's a huge field. Law enforcement oversight, spectral imaging, infrared imaging for search and rescue operations, photogrammetry, which is the collection of aerial data imaging tied to very precise measurements that can be used for support of land survey or land management, waste site management, all kinds of things. It's going to be permeating almost every activity that we've come to traditionally know as being conducted with other means. The increase in work efficiency, decrease in workloads, increase of safety margins, improved accuracies. I could go on and on. Any type of commercial activity and non-commercial activity for that matter will benefit from the technologies that are evolving on the unmanned side.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
The well-intentioned friend. You can count on him to go get food. Gas, not so much.
Says he's sorry.
At least he's also a I brought a taco and burrito cravings pack friend. Only at Taco Bell.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Yeah, and Rod, likewise, I mean, I'm sure 5G's got a lot of applications that most people don't even realize. We don't even know what we don't know, right?
Well,
and you had a comment on what Art said too.
Yeah, ours are just getting started. But I wanted to maybe bring up a crossover between these two because we actually not too long ago did a test here that something that Docomo uses in Japan. We're using drones to inspect our towers. So we'll go on. We have 145 towers, cell towers all over Guam, and we'll actually fly the drone out to the tower, and we'll go you program the shape of the tower. The drone will go out and do a video inspection all the way up around, flying around the tower and inspect for any rust, any maintenance that needs to be done. And otherwise we had to always deploy an entire crew, have to go out, have to climb the tower. The drone allows us to do that inspection in real time and have a video of exactly what the condition is. So it's I think there's a great crossover. I think that really the sky's the limit when it comes to the use cases.
I wanted to ask
one other thing I did, or you got, I'm sorry, Jason, one of the things I did want to mention too is that the government of Guam and the governor signed into legislation quite recently, legislation that for unmanned and drone operators that relocate to Guam or do their business in Guam for qualifying tax certificate exemptions, which is economic incentive for these larger companies to relocate here to conduct those type of activities. And what that means for the island not only is bringing those technologies here, bringing career paths, particularly for the younger kids coming out of college, and a lot of economic benefits to surrounding businesses that will benefit from that type of presence. So it's really, really good news, and several companies that we're aware of are in the process of looking at Guam as a reasonable location to come.
Well, I wanted to kind of dovetail off that, Art, if I may, because one thing that I wanted to inquire of both of you gentlemen is, we were talking about, enterprise uses, federal, local government, and I can appreciate how both of you said, we want to foster the R&D spirit and say, there are completely new applications that don't even exist today on Guam or for the most part in industry that can be generated with these technologies. What could you say for people watching right now, some prospective entrepreneurs that say, I want to get involved with technology, but the infrastructure or the devices just haven't really existed in my market just yet. How are you enabling them to actually take their ideas to the next level and say, it goes from being a pipe dream into an actual product or service?
Well, I can, Rod, if you don't mind, I can kick that off. On our end, Jason, in addition to some of the services we provide, we also have developed a curriculum for commercial license preparation. It involves it involves getting Federal Aviation Administration commercial licenses under FAR, Federal Aviation Regulation Part 107. It involves teaching basic drone flying skills. We're actually in possession two very high quality simulators here that allow not only the prospective student or to develop those flying skills and to also practice enterprise type skills, and that would be in search and rescue, those type of things. So our intent really is to develop a more ongoing curriculum that involves more and more of the technologies. We teach some of the software that is involved in, for instance, 3D mapping, volumetric management for landfills, mines, quarries, those type of things. So it's evolving for us also. That's what we're doing on that end. So we'll very shortly we'll be adding to some of those courses. We partnered with KUAM Community College in an aviation studies program, and we hope to have these skills also, or these curriculums implemented there also very soon. Hopefully, perhaps in the fall semester. I'm not sure.
You know, one of the things that I thought might be really good along this line. Recently, we had a call. The Docomo's parent company is NTT Communications. It's a limited. They're a big global company. They operate all over the world. They have a. We recently had a call. They have a program called Smart Cities program, where they're looking at different ways to use technology and including the 5G technology in how they run a city. And they have a trial right now going on in Las Vegas, one in Austin, Texas as well. And what they're doing is I mean, there's so many things that are involved in this, but one of them is they do facial recognition and in security services. They also do kind of a macro view of where people are moving. They're very careful to protect people's identity, but they see where crowds are gathering, and then they're able to plan their emergency services so that they're available wherever there's a crowd gathered, or when it gets so intense, they want to make sure that they align those things. So every one of these things, even though NTT is working on the smart city, they're looking at maybe coming to Guam and doing a small market version of that. And how can they apply these different things? Every one of these different kind of resources is not going to be run by the government. There's independent companies, local companies that will be emerging to take care of each one of these things as we identify these different ways to do things. Video surveillance that makes policemen less necessary. You can have them watching what's going on at an intersection. Improve safety. There's a long list that was on in this things that they're developing. And so, I think that, really almost anything that touches technology. So anybody who's interested in something like that, those are going to be opportunities.
All right. We've only got a couple of minutes left. Let me ask you first, Art, talk a little bit about your final thoughts and the cost effectiveness of the services that you're offering.
Well, again, I go back, Nestor, to some of the advantages of that the drone industry does bring to the to the marketplace. Increases work efficiencies and productivities, decreases workloads in almost every type of aspect across the board. Maybe most importantly, and in many cases, it greatly increases safety margins. We were talking earlier about doing inspections of certain facilities, rooftops, and those type of things. So there's going to be a great benefit there. Improved accuracies. Drones are connected through can be connected through very, very precise global positioning system instrumentation to provide support and accuracies for some of the things that are done on the ground traditionally by other means. It refines customer service capabilities. It's going to offer the commercial marketplace new abilities to offer new products and services. And it resolves security issues also. Many of the companies that, I should say not many, but several of the companies that we work with here at the airport are involved in security. And many of the methods of providing that type of oversight and surveillance have been done by fixed-wing, very expensive aircraft, long-range aircraft, and now through these new technologies are being able to be provided by drones that are being operated through what we call a mesh network, or a system of networks that relay data across long distances. And so all kinds of great benefits. The technologies are emerging so fast, it's almost a full-time job staying on top of what the new capabilities are going to be and what the new opportunities will bring.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
How do you dare? You chip away at what's been built because you can do better. How do you dare? You chase away wrongs to make room for what's right. You. How do you dare? You stand while they sit and scream when they are silent. You combine your strengths to reject their weakness. You step up, stand out, and shape a new point of view. How do you dare? This is how you dare. Introducing the all-new Elantra.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Robert, we're going to give you the final word, and you are one of those that have to keep on top of all these innovations. So where do we go from the driverless vehicle? Where do you think that's headed?
You know, I mean, we talked about some use of that, you know, in the tourism industry. We've talked about applications where, you know, in the evening you could take a drive down the beach in one of these carts that would be able to, you know, give you, you know, a full, you know, 4K view of whatever's going on. Everybody's looking for something to do. That's been discussed. I really feel like, you know, with 5G, it's something that as we develop it, like now you look on your phone and it's 3G, sometimes it's LTE, 4G, other times you're going to just see more and more 5G. The availability of the phones, that just has made everything go much faster. If you've got a 5G, if you've got a new Samsung, an S20 or 21, any of the iPhone 12s, they're all 5G phones. So you have a 5G. The issue for us is, you know, if you've got that 5G phone and now you're getting 5G, you know how much we charge for 5G? Nothing. You get it if you're in a hotspot and you're getting 5G, you're getting it with your cell service, and it just gets better and faster. And so as the market defines these things, we'll continue to expand the network across both, you know, Guam and Saipan.
All right. Of course, we could go on forever talking about this kind of stuff. I know Jason would. But we're out of time. So I want to thank you very much.
Was that 30 minutes already?
Yes, absolutely. Rod Voss is the president and CEO of Docomo Pacific, and Art Dolly is the president of Aviation Concepts and Tech Center Guam. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen. Of course, my colleague Jason Salas is always on top of all of these things. That's why I asked him to help me out on this particular show. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for watching. I'm Nestor Lecanto. We'll see you next week on In Full Zoom.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
This program lineup is brought to you by Vision Express.
KUAM News, winner of the 2020 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Social Media.
Tokyo 21, presented locally by IT&E.
Good evening, I'm Randall Park. The primaries are over and the nominees for the 2032 U.S. presidential race are set. And one name you may have heard before. Candidate Dwayne Johnson has wasted no time hitting the campaign trail with his No Muss, No Fuss bus tour, traveling cross-country to talk to American voters.
I'll get you upstairs.
And show that he's one of them.
Wow! It's about as big as Kevin Hart's ego.
But that level of fame also has its downside. Dwayne Johnson's success is being used against him by his critics. They say he's lived the cushy Hollywood life for so long, he can't relate to the struggles of the average American.
Randall, that couldn't be further from the truth. I have had one hell of a life, but I wasn't born into it. I've had to work very hard for everything that's come my way. There's still so much that I have to share with the world.
I'm surprised to hear you say that because you're such an open person.
Well, I try to be as open and as real as I can. For example, people don't know that every time I open the fridge, I still gotta, you know.
Can you do it?
You want me to do it?
I'm begging you to do it.
Are the people ready?
They are not ready, but they need to see it.
Well, every time I open the fridge, I gotta say, can you tell that the Rock is hungry? Oh, yeah.
I do that too.
You're a wild man. So as you can see, Randall, there's still so much that I haven't told anyone. Stories about my life that I haven't been ready to share until now.
You can't tell because I used to be an actor, so I'm skilled at hiding my emotions, but I'm on the edge of my seat.
I can tell. You're a hell of an actor.
Oh, true.
You know, Randall, to understand me, you gotta understand where I came from. I was born into a wrestling family.
Your dad was wrestling superstar Rocky Johnson.
The soul man, Rocky Johnson. That was him.
The crowd is in a roar. Here we go.
Mom, listen to this crowd. Dad is over. He is. They love him.
My mother's father was the legendary Samoan wrestler, High Chief Peter Maivia. Wrestling is in my blood.